have something that's on my heart I want to talk about today. And I pray you're doing well out there, everybody. I'm just trying to figure out in my mind the way I want to address this. I don't want to preach to the choir, because I always say when you hear something that you agree with, it sounds good and tickles your ears, but you haven't really learned anything. I want people to really, I want to help people, or I want to be used to help people. And I don't want to just preach to the choir. I don't mind when people disagree with the things I'm saying. I believe that's how we learned. You know, I don't even mind when people are offended by what I'm saying, as long as they're willing to be, outspoken about it in a way where it's not, I don't want to use the word offensive, but not out of hand. Okay. So go ahead and disagree with me if you want. Please share this message with others out there who you think might need to hear this. But I want to address something that's going on today. Apparently, there was some leaked videos by the Disney company that addressed how they're going to address the whole issue with gender and the LGBT and all of this communities and all of this situation. And I'm not going to approach this in a way of telling people what we know is true in terms of science, but I want to approach it more in a way of trying to understand, and not just, I think I understand, and I have people in this ministry contacting me who struggle with this situation of liking the same sex or being attracted to the same sex. And my heart truly goes out to them. In no way do I have any feelings of anger towards those people. And if you are one of those people out there that are struggling with this, I invite you to contact me. I invite you to pray with you privately. And if you're open and to talk about it publicly, I would like to talk to people publicly about this as well. But there have been people, over the years and more recently, that have struggled with this topic and contacted me. And I think I understand the issue really is the way people are brought up and taught. And I don't just mean by their parents, because there are certain situations like my own where I'm a parent and I don't have full control over my children. I know another parent who is in a situation with me where they have co-custody of their children, and the daughter decided she wanted to be a man. And this is a teenage girl. And I didn't know this. And the man said, no, address her as a boy from now on. And the man's, he kind of has his hand tied because it's not him, it's his spouse that he's no longer with that's allowing his daughter to see certain things. And this is the choice that she's made. And as a parent, you're going to love your child no matter what, right? You don't want to alienate, you want to do your best to stand up for your principles that you believe in, teach your children. But at the same time, it breaks the heart of a parent to just have to disown a child. And, sometimes we got to do what we got to do. But the point being is I understand that a big part of this is the way we're brought up and trained in society today. And the values that someone has is based on our experiences in life. And many of our experiences in life begin very young in life, when we view our parents and people around us and what's allowed and so on. And, and we are all brothers and sisters here. And it's, if you are out there, and again, I'm not addressing those of you that have the same viewpoint of me on this. I want to discuss this from those of you that don't have the same viewpoint. And prayerfully, people will see this that aren't just part of this ministry, that'll try to see, I don't know if you want to call the word compassion or understanding that I'm trying to have here is why men feel that they're attracted to other men and women feel that they're attracted to other women, and the reasoning behind that. Now, I know that we do have a choice. Yahweh has given us choices in life, but there's one thing to have a choice in what we do, and there's another thing to actually believing it's true. For example, if I'm walking down the street, and I'm not saying this in a comical way, and again, I want to understand the thoughts of people that are struggling with this, and maybe go back and figure out, well, where this thinking began, and maybe what your parents are thinking and what your school's teaching. And if you're one of the people that have contacted me in the past, I'm not going to name names, but if you're open to discussing this, I'm inviting you here to the show to do so. And so if I'm walking down the street and I got to go to the bathroom and I just start going in the street and a policeman comes up to me and says, you can't just go in the street, and say, oh, don't worry, I'll pick it up. And the policeman says, no, it's against the law to go in the street. So what about all these people walking their dogs? They're picking up the poop from the dogs. Well, how come you're not giving them a ticket? And then the policeman says to me, well, you're not a dog. I say, well, I identify as a dog. And some of you might say that sounds absolutely ridiculous. And to those of you that sounds ridiculous to, that at the same time are attracted to the same sex, I invite you to this platform here to tell me why that sounds ridiculous to you, and explain to me why that sounds ridiculous to you. But at the same time, you want to identify from a biological standpoint with something that you're not. I'm not doing this to try to confuse you or trap you. I'm trying to understand you. I'm trying to understand what's the difference between me telling a policeman I now identify as a dog versus you identifying as the biological opposite sex from what you were born. You see, there's two issues here. One issue is identifying as your true sex, but just attracted to the same sex. And then the other issue is you just don't think that you are truly what you are. And by all means, I mean, there are people out there that are doing things that go against the word of our Creator. Some people identify themselves and call themselves believers, but they're not living as a believer. And and to those of you that do that, for those of you that identify yourselves as a Christian or a believer, but are living against the principles of Yeshua, the one they call Jesus, but condemn somebody who identifies, a woman who identifies as a man, is kind of hypocritical in a negative sense. The phrase, pull out the plank from your own eyes before the splinter in somebody else's. Well, here in this case, I think the plank in a lot of people's eyes. What we have is really an identity crisis. And I'm not discussing, is it our, right to judge? I will say it's our responsibility to listen and to try to speak to one another, because we are truly brothers and sisters, no matter which category we fall in. And my heart truly goes out to those people that are struggling, and I have some people I would consider friends. I'm thinking of one person in particular, and he struggled with this for years. He is a true believer and follower of a wonderful Messiah, but he struggles with having feelings for men that according to scriptures you shouldn't have. And I'm appreciative that he's open enough to talk about it with me, and he feels comfortable with me to speak about it in a way where he knows I'm not going to just condemn him automatically, and I try to understand him. I do understand the way we're brought up in today's world, and it's worse now than ever before. that people in today's society are brought up, and this recent thing with Disney is now they're not using the words gentlemen or ladies anymore. They used to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the parade. Now they have to say something like, I don't know, something to the stars that want to be here with us or something. And the society today is going more and more in this way of teaching. So we do have to be careful from a young age of what we're allowing and exposing our children to. But, I don't believe any child, as creative as they are, they might draw pictures of little people in a book with purple hair. They might draw pictures of people that have marks on their clothes or skin. But unless a child is I don't want to use the word corrupted, I'll say persuaded to do certain things, a child is going to not do certain things. So depending how a teenager or a child or what they're exposed to is going to determine the life paths they choose. So your teenager with purple hair and 7 earrings in their lip, if they've never seen somebody with purple hair and 7 earrings in their lip, or lip earrings, or whatever you call them, chances are it's not something that they would even think of on their own. At some point, they were exposed. This is what I think. I mean, if you have purple hair and rings in your lip, and you've never been exposed to it, and just woke up one day and said that's what you want to do, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think these people are at some point exposed to something like this, and something is attracting them to that. And we don't make good decisions when we're teenagers. And a lot of people apparently don't make good decisions when they're adults, and we will make mistakes in life. And many people that are strong believers now that have once lived a lifestyle that went a different way have come to now know the truth. There are wonderful testimonies online of people that were having feelings towards the same sex, and there were people that were seriously involved on every level in this type of lifestyle, but have made the choice to follow Yeshua, the one they called Jesus, and changed. I don't know if there are many people out there that were brought up as believers and not exposed to this stuff that changed that way. They said, oh, I was a church-going person for most of my life, but I decided this is the way I'm going to go. I don't know if there's that many people, but I do see it the other way around. But regardless, it's a reality in today's world. It's a reality in today's world. And because of not wanting to offend somebody, we got to watch what we say and what we do and how we address certain situations. It's a very tricky situation, but I do believe it's an identity crisis. So what happens to somebody like, and again, I invite people on to talk to me about this, not people that say, oh, amen, I agree with you, Paul, but people that disagree with the Bible stance on this, and people that are struggling with it. You, or maybe your child is struggling with this, and you want to come on. If your child is struggling with this topic, tell them, I know somebody who wants to invite you on their show to talk about it, because he wants to understand. He wants to understand more clearly why it's okay to be like this. I know that, one of the common thoughts and phrases is, well, we're just born this way, we can't help it. I understand that, and if I'm off base here, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I mean, we're born as sinners, and we get desires to do pretty evil, wicked things according to the word. But that doesn't mean now we just go and do it. and the feelings that we have towards certain things, that doesn't make it, just because we have a feeling towards something, just doesn't make it, okay to act out on it. But if people think, well, I'm just born this way, this is the way I am, and just like you might be attracted to women, well, I'm attracted to men. And then we got to look at the whole thing of attraction and the idea of attraction and the different levels of attraction. What attracts us to somebody? There are young girls that get themselves in bad situations when there are men. So there are men in this world that are attracted to young women, right? And or young girls. And it's illegal in the world today that we live in this country at least. It's illegal for a man of a certain age to be attracted to a girl of a certain age. It's illegal. It's an interesting fact. In biblical times, it wasn't illegal. It was normal, and that was the normal process of things. In biblical times, a man of whatever age he was could be attractive to a girl, whatever age she was. Nothing in the scriptures called that illegal or even immoral to a degree. And I'm not talking about babies and this, but once a girl became a woman, no matter what age the man was, it wasn't considered uncommon or wrong. But in today's world, it's illegal, it's considered gross, and it's considered wrong on every single level. But it doesn't change the fact that older men are attracted to younger women. Now, if you're in your 70s and you're attracted to a woman in her 20s, that's legally okay, but still considered disgusting and immoral. But if you're in your 50s or 40s or 30s and you're attracted to someone who's in their teenage years, now it's illegal and immoral and disgusting in this world today that we live in. Again, it doesn't change the fact that it's an attraction. So if you're a woman that's attracted to a woman, or a male that's attracted to the male, and if two males are okay with it, or two females are okay with it, and so then now the government's okay with it. So who are we harming? There's a certain Christian out there that doesn't believe that this is the right. However, if you're a male that's attracted to an older male that's attracted to a younger woman, and the younger woman's okay with it, and you're okay with it, you could still get arrested because the government doesn't believe that that's okay. So we got the attraction factor, because why would a young woman be attracted to an older male? Well, when you think about it, at least when you look at like women in their 20s attracted to men in their 70s that are established and have money and so on. And from a scriptural standpoint, the men that had status, the kings and the stronger leaders of the army, were usually older. It's just the way it was. It was more of a natural process, but the world today has made that illegal. But it's made it legal for a man to like a man, or be with a man, and a woman to be with a woman. In this country, at least. In some countries, it's still illegal. Point being is a lot of the things that we're allowing to happen today in our own lives, or an agreement, is the government has a lot to say with this. I'll give you an example for smoking. For an example, we know that smoking is tremendously harmful for our health. Smoking cigarettes or anything is bad for our lungs. It can create heart disease. It creates lung cancer. They even put on the package, this is harmful to our health, but they still allow it. Smoking crack's harmful to our health, but it's illegal. So if smoking crack was now legal, even if there's a warning written on the package, you're giving people a sign, well, that's okay. Well, that's okay. So the government is determining on their decisions what should be promoted and not promoted. And this is what companies are following, and Hollywood's following, and many children are following this now. If it's truly up to us and the freedom of our bodies and our choice of what we do with our own bodies, why is it illegal to smoke crack? Why is it illegal to do cocaine? If it's just us, I'm not hurting anyone else. It's only me. Why is that illegal? And if the idea is because it can cause harm to someone else, then why is it okay for me to get drunk and buy alcohol and cigarettes in the store, where secondhand smoke and drunk driving kills more people than, or just as many people than other issues? Why does the government have to control? If I feel in my own conscience, and if I feel more protected by me having a gun, and I just feel that, this is the way I was born, I'm insecure, I need a gun. Why does the government have to tell me if that's right or wrong, right? Because we should all have freedom, right? What dictates where our attraction to something comes and what's allowed and what's promoted? And basically, the country we live in, or the state we live in, is going to decide what propaganda they're going to promote. And the house we live in and our parents are going to decide what propaganda they're going to allow in the house to be promoted. And the children are usually the result of that, and those children will usually grow up with those type of feelings. Correct me if I'm wrong, and again, if you're in this situation, let me know. But most parents that are okay with boys liking girls and girls liking, boys liking boys and girls liking girls, or perhaps they are involved in these type of relationships, most of the time I would think their children are going to be okay with that also and end up in a relationship like that also. And, so what we allow in or what we view is a big thing. But, it comes down to what we decide or where we decide to get our ideas from in life. Are we going to do it with the TV screen, the TV programming, a vision telling us something? Or are we going to use the scripture as our rock and the words of our creator? It's where we're going to decide to get this information is often going to decide, not 100%, but the decisions we make. And that's not across the board, because I know some wonderful Christian parents whose children turned out terrible and ended up going to jail. And on the other side of it, I know some kids that were brought up terribly, but they turned out wonderfully. But the thing is, we have to decide these things. And the other thing is, most people that believe in Yeshua, the one they call Jesus, didn't start out that way. Most of them started out pretty bad. Most teenagers are going through some pretty bad times, making bad decisions. And many of us can say we've done that, we've been there. That's not an excuse to allow people to do that, but that's the situation. But at some point in our life, we had a change, whether it was a change of our most emotional thoughts, or whether we hit rock bottom and we ended up in jail or in a hospital. For some reason, we decided to make a different choice than what we chose at one point. And what that proves is that no matter where you are in life, no matter what choices you're making, you can change. You can change. A lot of people don't think we have control over our decisions or our emotions, but I often use this example that if two people are fighting, no matter who it is, whether it's two spouses or two men in the street or two women in the street. So two people are fighting in the house, screaming at each other, then the doorbell rings or the phone rings, and they completely change their demeanor and hello or hello. Same thing, two men are fighting, they're getting into it, and they know they're doing something wrong. Then a policeman comes and they just calm down and everything's fine. We have a tremendous control over our emotions in situations when it matters. But when we don't think it matters, we lose control. And these are things to consider. So I am not here to put down or come against the way things are in this world, because that's not helping anyone. If I'm preaching to the choir, you already know what I believe and how I feel, so your amens and your I agrees, again, thank you, but no thank you, because it's not my goal. My goal isn't to be popular. I want to get many people to agree with me. I just want to discuss and talk to people that disagree with me and figure out why, and I open that up to figure out why. And so if, again, before I go, if you or somebody is struggling with either the issue of believing that they're of the opposite sex, believing that truly you're a man or a woman, and they're that situation, or if you as a man or a woman are attracted to the same sex, we can talk about it publicly or privately. I'd like to have an open conversation over the internet so we could have questions and this. But if you or somebody knows somebody, please contact me so we can do that. And my prayers go out to everyone in the situation to understand that the wonderful grace and mercy of Yeshua, our wonderful Messiah, the wonderful grace and mercy that he gives us for all of us. Okay. And he teaches us love. So praise Yah. Everybody have a blessed day. May Yahweh be with you this day. And thank you, and shalom.
I found the answer. I like to pray.